John Williams is proud.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Maudalorian, where we chat all things Mandalorian. And at the moment, we are up to chapter 14 called The Tragedy. And when I saw that, my heart broke, but little did it know it would be obliterated. So joining us this episode, we have coming back from Geek Bomb Socials, we've got Leo, aka the Mandalorian. Hey, Leo.
What's up? What's going on, guys? A tragedy indeed this episode. So sad.
And our wonderful guest this week, she knows all things Star Wars geek, TV, movies, you name it. We've got from IGN, it's Terri Schwartz, aka a Territon.
Hello. And if anyone comes up with a better pun using my name, I'm open to it. This was the best I could come up with, but I haven't had nearly enough coffee today. I feel like Territon works, though. It does the deed.
Heck yeah.
And thank you to everyone who is watching live. This is an interactive show, so get your questions in and we will acknowledge it. I think that was Luther appreciating our intro. Saying shivers when he saw the title of that one as well. And Stephen Summers, it was like John Williams is in the chat.
Perfect.
It's exactly how he envisioned it when he came up with the Imperial March.
So let's get stuck straight into this because this was a good episode again. Leo and I were complaining that the first two episodes were great. They're fine. They were filler. But now we're getting back-to-back killer. So you know how this goes in the chat and with you guys. Out of 10, what did you rank this episode? What did you give it?
Are we waiting for me or for people in the chat?
You go, Terri. They'll catch up.
So I will say I am in the minority because I was a little disappointed from season 1, where I thought it was a lot more filler than meat to The Mandalorian. This season I agree, it started a little slow, but they've been like knockouts one after another. I do think I liked last week's a little better, so I probably would have given that a 10. So I think for this I'd give it a 9, but like it's pretty high up there.
Okay.
Leo. Yeah, I gotta go with the same thing. I mean, not quite last week, and it's tough to come off of last week because last week was such a high with Ahsoka and bringing her in and bridging the gaps in Clone Wars and after Rebels. And then you come to this week, and yes, we get Boba Fett and we get the armor and things like that, but it just wasn't quite as good as last week. But it was still a great episode, still a good one. I would say probably an 8.5 out of 10.
I mean, I gave last week a 9.5 out of 10, but I want to give this week's a 9.5, maybe even a 9.7.
Wow.
You can go as deep past the decimal mark as you want to, Maude. It is your show.
I really, really liked this episode, and there are big differences. I loved the Ahsoka moments. I love that they were kind of pulling it all together, but there's something about Rodriguez's directing in this that just made this fun.
Yes.
And I think my gripe from last week was that I could tell with the set design and direction that it was in a soundstage where there was like sort of like lit walls of like IMAX screen. In this one, it was very much out in the open and I was immersed in it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the reason why I liked last week's just that much more was because it was a bit more about the characters, about the human human in air quotes because they aren't technically humans, but the character development. Whereas this one, I agree, it was fun. It felt like a great Robert Rodriguez action movie. The action sequences, as much as like it was exciting to have Boba Fett come back and see the Slave One again. I think it was like the action and the adventure of this episode that made it so fun. But I think that's why that compared to like the more character development that we don't get that often on this show, it usually is a bit more action packed than character led. I think that's why I like the Ahsoka episode just a little bit more.
I mean, it was so good. I'm just glad that we're getting back-to-back chockers episodes, where stuff's happening, storylines progressing, and things are heating up big time.
I'm not going to lie. I assumed that it would be like season 1 where it's like, oh, I need to go from point A to point B episode to episode, but I'm going to be distracted by 16 other adventures along the way. I did not expect for us to go from meeting Ahsoka and getting a mission to accomplishing that mission at the beginning of the next episode. So I'm glad. I mean, there are only a couple more left. I'm glad that we're keeping up the pace of this season. And this is what I want the Mandalorian to be, 2 knockouts back to back. Keep them coming. A lot of lore, a lot of development. Really exciting to have Din teamed up with Boba Fett and Fennec now. A lot of exciting forward momentum.
See, and I thought we were going to move back towards an episode 2 style of this season. Just kind of veer off on a random adventure. And it was so cool to just get guns blazing, rapid fire pacing for 33 minutes. Oh my God, it was amazing.
And I agree with Stephen Summers here. Boba earned his fame this episode.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps when he put the armor on and he was back in that boss mode. Because before I was in the party where it was unless you watched the Clone Wars and really saw him sort of as an adolescent growing into sort of his rebellious life, becoming a bounty hunter. I was in the same sort of he didn't really do much. He kind of captured Han and then he kind of just got eaten or fell into a pit, and that's it. That's his legacy.
More in this episode than he did in all of the movies.
Literally.
Yeah, and I loved those moments. And I, knowing the Clone Wars back history, the fact that this is the same actor that played Jango Fett, it's just all kind of coming together, and it's really, really lovely. And then Stephen Summers again saying, glad that Ming Na Wen is back. She needs more work. Love her. I actually love, we're going to go through it all, but this sort of trio that we've got. Loving that. But how did we get to that moment? Well, it started with getting in the Razor Crest and trying to find the temple here. And we see it. And I think it was Nathan saying he was a little bit disappointed by.
I feel so was Din Djarin. He was this is it? Is this a Jedi thing? Is this what we were looking for?
Couple rocks. That's about it.
This is it here. Yeah. I mean, a lot. We were talking last week that the Jedi temples are mainly ruins at this stage.
Right. And this is the oldest, right? So far as we know, or at least what Ahsoka told him as well.
And I like this a little bit because this isn't a show about another Jedi. This is about the Mandalorian. Let's focus in on Mando. It's cool to bring in the Jedi stuff, of course, Ahsoka, but you start exploring temples and getting into text, then it starts to feel like the movies again. So I like that it's just a quick stop here and then back to the adventure.
I will say, as I was watching it, and I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but 3 times in this episode, the Mandalorian tries to reach Grogu, tries to go through, and I'm what is the definition of madness again? When you keep doing the same action over and over and expect a different result. He kept doing. I was can you stop? This is the 3rd time you're doing this. Something's happening. You can't get through to the baby. Just maybe protect him a little bit longer.
Yeah, get a hint.
Yeah,
that was a little bit frustrating because we've had 1.5 seasons of this guy being, by all accounts, smarter than that. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I think it was just impulsive dad, come on, come back to me.
Right.
And the way that this episode started was so endearing, where Grogu's just sitting there doing his thing, and he's like, Grogu, yeah.
I did love the single dad energy where it reminded me. I mean, obviously Grogu is a baby Yoda, is not a pet, but it reminds me of when I'm looking at my dogs and I'm BB, and her head turns a little bit, and that same kind of joy where it's oh, you know who you are, and now I know who you are too. I thought that was very charming.
Yeah, it was
the ball.
Yeah,
I thought that was so cute when he's having him use the Force, and just adorable.
Matt saying this episode was so sad because there are not enough Jedi in this galaxy anymore. The beacon called no one, although because so few remain, they might get a surprise Force user in the last episode. But yeah, there was a bit of an isolating feeling. But we're skipping ahead, but how did the Empire tack on to that wavelength?
Well, they had, I think they established
that they tracked.
Yeah.
Tracked. So Which is like kind of convenient that the Razor Crest got blown up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they can't track them anymore.
Man.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I guess both of them would have been tracking Din. Like Boba Fett was tracking him because he knew he had the suit of armor and he wanted to get that back. And then we know that there's this tracker. But you're right. Like Ahsoka could have been a little bit more explicit that the beacon was going to send like this giant beam of light up that many people could find, and maybe more than just who you're bargaining for. But I think that. Oh, yeah, I agree with Matthew Kitson there, too, when he called him a very special kid. Although hilarious when he called Ahsoka the nice lady as well. But yeah, I have a feeling that that beacon will reach someone. And I know after last episode, there were a lot of theories about what that Thrawn name drop meant for Ezra's chances of showing up this season or next.
What do you think? I know we were like, speculation is like the best and worst part of this series, but...
I mean... First, so yeah, let's just say what we were saying before we actually got started, which is like we as fans can contort ourselves into so many different like rationalizations, like, oh, maybe this Boba Fett type shaped person is not Boba Fett, but it's actually Rex, or like maybe whatever. No, it's Boba Fett. Like, no, they're totally going to bring Ezra. It's going to be exactly what we want it to be because it's what Dave Filoni wants it to be too. And I love that people are like, oh, if Dave Filoni's big con was he made The Mandalorian just so it could be a Rebels sequel that's live action, like,
fine by me.
Let's do it. And I think
that's probably the more exciting version of anything out there. Me personally.
And what I do love about this, and it's something that like J.J. Abrams didn't quite accomplish in the movies that he did, is like you could have spent years not watching the Clone Wars, not watching Rebels, like not understanding that these parts of the Star Wars canon are all connected and tie everything together. But by The Mandalorian being live action, so thus very accessible to people who maybe don't want to watch animated series, but making it so clear that like, no, all of these other facets of Star Wars canon or Star Wars lore are canon, all the animated series are really connected. I think it like is really bringing everything together in an exciting way, but then also so drawing in so much of the expanded universe stuff that it is now making canon as well, tying back to earlier games and the comics and the stories. So it's all very exciting.
We have a lot of discussion as well happening in here. I like Ryan's suggestion. Who do you think the Moff's donor is? I've got my money on Thrawn. We were talking last week about it seems that like a lot of sort of like the middle key players are answering to Thrawn, and because Thrawn is a mastermind who just wants to get the job done, so like it just sounds like hurting a kid and extracting his DNA to make clones. Yeah, that's something that Thrawn would do because he doesn't have the empathy to discern that that is wrong, fundamentally wrong, but it gets the job done, and it's super effective. So that's a Thrawn kind of play.
I also do love that it feels like this is going to be the connective tissue to explain what the heck was happening with Snoke, like which we got drips and drabs of in the sequel trilogy.
Inhaled just to kind of
for real. Give us some answers, man. What I really like about The Mandalorian in this season is it's connecting all of the trilogies. Yeah, there are original trilogy references, the prequel trilogies. I mean, there were so many Jango name drops last night when Boba was talking about him, and it's cool that they're like bridging this all together and we finally get a media piece that brings all the Star Wars lore into one place but still focuses on new characters, new locations. And man, when Boba put that armor on, y'all, I screamed.
Yeah, I goosebumps. It's funny that you say that, like, and maybe Dave Filoni can be the thread that seamlessly ties the universe together, because I think, I mean, the prequels made sure that it definitely like kind of stayed apart from the OT, but then this new sort of, I don't think it's fair to call it a trilogy. I think that there were 3 separate movies that tried to tell the same story, but it was not succinct in any particular way. Yeah. So we just happen to have 3 more movies that people call a trilogy that I refuse to. And then the animated series are again on a league of its own, and they're kind of like, dabbled by some, but not all. It doesn't feel like it's mandatory viewing at the moment. So you're right, Leo, in that regard, where it's like by Mando being probably the most successful property that we've had in the last decade, using kind of like the lore and the culmination of all this fantastic story that we've seen over these decades and pulling it all together, that is exciting. And I think that's healing Star Wars as a universe and as a franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And also, yes, Matt, that ugly old ship is finally.
Oh man, I like Mando ship.
He loves it too.
Listen,
yeah.
he'll get the Razor Crest too.
That hunk, man.
One thing I was going to say to bring it back to Fennec and the comments about like being excited that Ming-Na came back. Yeah. It was interesting. Again, I felt a little let down by season 1 because there was so much filler in there. And even though like the highs were so high, I was like, you had like 8 episodes you could have made rock solid. And like you're choosing to go on like this prison adventure. What I really love about season 2 is the way it's layering back onto those things. And like clearly that was Dave Filoni's design and Jon Favreau when they were designing season 1, they knew they were going to be making season 2 right after. And so I am a huge fan of Ming-Na Wen, was very disappointed that she died in the one episode she was in, was so thrilled that she came back. And I really like about this season that they keep kind of like layering back on and revisiting these people and like creating their own lore that they can then travel back to and make it feel more cohesive and interconnected, when season 1 very felt like the adventure of the week format.
Mm-hmm.
Steven's saying, was it filler or is it just a deep setup? I think it's filler.
I don't think this episode was filler, especially with what we saw at the end of the episode.
Season 1.
Oh, season one. Yeah. Season 1, I definitely feel like it could have been set up in a couple ways, but some of the episodes felt pretty fillerish, like a one-off, boom, I'll probably never see him again. But who knows? Maybe people from that crew in the penultimate episode or the episode before that with Bill Burr in the episode, maybe we'll see them again somehow. Right. Who knows?
They're trying to tie it all back in somehow, which I don't mind. Like, there's a couple of times already that we've seen a character be revisited from season 1 or a reference made, and I'm okay with that. Leo, take a little step back from your mic. You're a little bit loud at the moment. There you go. Sick. Cool. Thanks for the feedback, Gallant. That's how it works. So, again, it's like, I liked the pressure, heading back to the episode, of seeing little dude do his thing. Can we just acknowledge, oh my God, those little pinched fingers.
I just love his closed eyelids. Like, he looks so much like a baby Yoda with his eyes closed.
There's tranquility here, but we've never kind of seen him in that meditative state and into this move. So cute. But then, of course, when he's like this, he is super vulnerable. And with vulnerability comes the fact that the slave one appears. Now, I was talking to Terri before we started rolling. There was this like, is it Boba? Is it Rex? Who is this person? As soon as I saw the slave one, I was like, well, there it is.
Yep.
Oh, I know that shit.
Yeah. The boom, boom, boom. Oh my gosh. And was it the seismic kind of like cannon that it, wow.
Yeah.
All of that. But this is prequels. This is prequel stuff. This is Attack of the Clones, if I'm not mistaken, where they do the little asteroid sort of maneuver going into the Genosian compound.
Yeah, it's Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Why do you know that? Why do you know that?
You know, young Maude is going to be so proud that, that it all stayed up there for a reason, for this moment when you could draw it back out and still have it.
Yep, that's right. Still single. But I managed to retain that information. Was it worth it? Not at all. Cool. But I did love that payoff. I love the fact that we saw Boba looking a little different, looking a little sad. Does anyone know about this weapon that he's carrying, though?
I have no idea.
I assumed that was like deep lore stuff that like I'm going to read explainers saying these are the six callbacks to it. But I did not recognize it off the top.
What I did recognize was the sound design that went into the thwonks and the whacks and like the power behind this weapon. Like,
you know what I really liked about this depiction of Boba Fett was like, if you were one, I think a lot of people who are watching this probably have seen the Clone Wars, have seen Rebels, but if say your only experience with Boba Fett was even just like the original trilogy, there you go. From
Tusken weapons.
That makes sense. Literally everyone knew except for us. Great.
Bonk.
No, they're still coming. They still. Yep. There we go. All
wow.
right. Literally everyone else knew.
Perfect.
It's actually a gaffy stick. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jimmy.
But I love that like this episode, like, they're like, nope, really.
Cool.
Wow.
They do such a great job establishing Boba Fett, the character, in this episode more than just like the cool badass figure that inspired a million collectibles and many spin-offs, and him still being a relevant character in this franchise. So I liked that we saw him fighting outside of wearing the armor, outside of using the blaster, like using these different weapons and reminding you that he is exceptionally skilled, like Din Djarin. And then of course we see him back in the iconic getup.
And it just felt right. Like, even though you can see, like, without his armor, he's still really powerful. Like, just what was that point before? I think it was this one here. Yeah. All the bones of the stormtroopers. That mangled corpse with like the helmet just like morphed in from the blow. Like, that's just, it was so well done, and it just shows that he's a force. But then once he has his armor, because I feel like, you know, as a bounty hunter and with these suits, like, they've got so many gadgets, and that's what makes them formidable as well. And we saw that with the seeking rockets, like, because there's 3 against what, like 12, 15, and so it's like he really has to go above. But that moment where, and I think I've got images of it. Not really, but there's everyone in this suit. There's the trio. You know, he's got his arm rocket, he's got his jetpack, he's got all of this stuff at his disposal. And so when he kind of like has that outfit reveal, his armor reveal, he just, I wrote it in my notes. I was like, took his armor and went beast mode. And I love that moment. I love that scene. How did it feel for you guys?
I mean, he took down 2 ships with like one rocket on his back. That was so
I was aiming for the other one. I love that.
It's just cool to finally see Boba Fett do something, because he was just the guy in the original trilogy that when you saw him, you're like, wow, that's some cool armor. I want to see him use that jetpack. Never really got to, and here we are finally getting some stuff, and it's enough, and it shows that he's so formidable that he scares people off. Like, he scared the stormtroopers away. I mean, that was just a fantastic action sequence, and my favorite shot of the episode was that close shot when he's got the gun and it's kind of out of focus, and he's just blasting them, taking them out one by one. He laid those troopers out.
I don't know why I'm going here, but Lionel and Nathan are commenting
he had some dad bod. Did you not notice the dad bod?
A little bit of a belly.
What?
They were just like couple unflattering shots.
Do you think he's like on Tatooine just doing crunches and planks in his spare time? Like,
he's older. I'm sure he's munching a little bit more.
There's probably not a lot of food down there, though.
Right.
Listen, I've only been in quarantine for 9 months, so who am I to judge?
My arm is not going to fit me at the moment. Yeah,
he still kind of had his like robe on underneath it, so he just he didn't have a mirror to get it set up. Yes, dad bod, but still deadly. Agreed.
Body positivity right there.
I will say, The Mandalorian is not often the most subtle show, but something I do think they've been doing subtly is introducing Din Djarin to this idea that like what a Mandalorian is and what they stand for is not necessarily what he was raised to know. Now, it took them a while to get to that point of us understanding more about who he was and where he came from in season 1. But I think first with Bo-Katan, and then now with Boba Fett and him recognizing and acknowledging that Boba Fett like deserves his armor. It was his father's, like having that context for him is great development for him and that journey for him. Because I know obviously like with the Darksaber and Bo-Katan's whole quest and wanting to return to Mandalore, there's like a lot of different moving parts, and I'm very excited to see how Din Djarin's like perception of his Mandalorian reality will evolve through these encounters. And again, I do think it's being done in a relatively subtle way for the show that's effective.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting when he brings up the creed because it's like it's his law in a way. And LAW, not LORE. My accent sounds the same. But what I liked, it was like a two-part rule. You know, like he said it twice. He's like, I shouldn't give you the armor because it's not yours. And then he's like, no, the Mandalorian creed states that you really shouldn't have it. And then he kind of explained the case and he was like, okay, cool. Like, now I'm convinced. Now I'll let this pass. But it's interesting because this is kind of like the third, I guess, group or times that he's seen a Mandalorian and what the armor means to the person.
Yeah.
And the obviously 2-3 episodes ago with Bo-Katan, like instantly take off their helmets. And he's like, what are you doing? All three of you have just taken off your helmets. Like all of a sudden she's like, sweetheart, yeah, that's like what an inconvenience. We got rid of that like a long time ago. That's just like for the close-minded, like, cult kid. He's like, what? Yeah. Like, oh, that damn cult.
Cults, am I right?
I mean, it brings up an interesting point because we're all so interested in learning more about Grogu, who he is, where he comes from, but we don't even know about Mando. We don't even know about Din Djarin. And we do know that he has been raised by these strict rules, and it's cool to see other Mandalorians kind of squeeze their way in there and maybe change his way of thinking towards the end of it. I'm thinking maybe he'll roam around without a helmet after a while.
Well, Stephen Summers says he's so taking his helmet off in the last episode for Grogu. It's been teased all season.
Aww.
And I'm not sure what it was, but you're being agreed with, Terry. And
I'll take it. I think that's just an evergreen comment from Stephen, so thank you.
Yeah. Blanket.
There was like one moment in this episode too, which I think lends to that, when he kind of like slammed his hand down. He's like, yes. And baby Yoda was like, oh my God, no, I'm not mad. So it's like, I feel they're going to have that moment where he raises the helmet, connects with him.
Sees him.
And he brought, he got his spear, but then he also got Grogu's little ball.
Yeah.
I know, oh my God, the ruins of the Razor Crest. I kind of feel like it's not a bad thing. It was tracked. It was falling apart. The Mon Calamari, basically used rope to hold it together.
Yeah, it wasn't doing great. But can we just say, I know we're jumping all around this episode, Maude, but like the idea that I've gotten so used to the Mandalorian bringing in a cool character for an episode and then assuming we will circle back and get them again later, like Bo-Katan and Ahsoka. But we're going to have Boba Fett next week. Like that is who, and Fennec, that is who Din Djarin is now traveling with. Like they are a buddy trio. And that's crazy. Like that is absolutely insane.
From memory though, the Slave One's only got 2 seats up the front.
Maybe he'll sit on Boba Fett's lap.
Double Mando.
Yeah, are they going to change the name to the Mandalorians?
Sorry?
Plural. The Mandalorians.
Mandos and Donks?
It was a bad joke.
Mandos.
I wonder if the people that Mandos helped along the way are going to end up coming back together in the season finale to give him a hand-saving Grogu. That's a Maude Garrett specialty for Funsions and Flagons. I thank you very much. As a game designer, like for campaigns, Favreau is doing exactly what I've been doing, which is like introduce a new guest every single week, have like a contained story in itself with an overlying arc, and then you've got your big finale where you pull everyone back in. I literally
did it in season 1 too, right? Like that was essentially the big climax. So.
And like, I am not getting paid like stupid money from Disney to come up with this shit. And yet Favreau, like this is predictable writing. Understandable for me. I expect a little better from you. Just a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. I love the fact that we've got new directors every single time, and I'm noticing that their signature kind of style coming into it, and that's nice. Gallant. I still want to see Rex too, but we're probably gonna have to wait until next season for that, if it ever happens at all.
I'm curious. I know after last week's episode, there was a lot of speculation as people are like, who are the other Jedi out there who could get this signal that we know that Grogu sent? How do you guys feel about the idea of a young Luke? Do you want to see that? Like, do you want to see Luke appear in The Mandalorian?
Probably, yes.
I would be super down for it. I just want it to be executed well. Others are saying maybe Mace, maybe Ezra. I think in this season, though, they're just going to bring Ahsoka back. I don't foresee Luke coming in this season. But eventually, I'd love to see Luke
You know
come
what?
back.
I've got to disagree with you because when Ahsoka was introduced, it wasn't this thing like, the initial Boba reveal, which was like right at the end in a silhouette kind of fashion. We got Ahsoka straight out the gate of that episode. And then we got a drop of a brand new Rebels character, technically Legends character, Thrawn. So they're just throwing them in at the moment.
See, I kind of would rather they didn't bring Luke in. Like, I know some people were excited about the idea of Ahsoka getting to meet Luke specifically, like getting that catharsis for her, knowing that, Anakin sired a son and everything that happened. But I am sick of every story needing to be a Skywalker story, and I like that the Mandalorian is something different, and I'm okay to keep them different for a while without the need to like bring her in.
I hear you. You're right. The Skywalker saga
That's done.
has been saged. Yeah. I hear you on that one. Thanlu says, I'm hoping for a dope new ship that Lego will pop out by year's end. You bet your butt.
You better believe
Of course.
Ooh. I mean, you go to...
That would be amazing.
That's kind of cool.
That'd be tight.
Damn. Galactic Pop Mark, completely agreeing with you. Leave out the Skywalkers. Kyle Katarn as another option, making an appearance, possibly instead of Ezra.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of maybe Cal Kestis, but at the end of Fallen Order, we don't know if he dies or not. So, there it is, Cal Kestis.
Live action Cal Kestis would be amazing, and I know Cameron would be so game to do that. Pun not intended.
That should have been intended. We've asked you what you would like, and a lot of you are saying, yeah, just get Sebastian Stan in for a young Luke. I want a young Luke. I'd rather see Ezra. Hoping for Ezra. No, Luke. Oh, there's actual, that plays out really well. You guys that's fun. I didn't like Cal. Yeah, I played 2 hours of the game before I bowed out. Ooh. It was funky. It had funky gameplay.
Hot take.
Yeah, I had so much fun with the game.
This was a clever way to kind of take care of the Razor Crest. I agree, Stephen.
Yeah, not in Rise of Skywalker.
They're going to find a way to bring Sam into these.
Yeah.
One way or another.
You got to.
No question.
Ooh, Gabriel Luna, Ezra Bridger.
I've seen Mina Masood from Aladdin is one popular one, and then Rahul Kohli is the other really popular. Rahul is campaigning himself to be Ezra.
Yeah, he's fueling.
I am obsessed with his troll campaign to get if anyone deserves it, it's Rahul.
That'd be awesome.
I've just found I didn't know who Gabriel Luna was before. But...
from Y Tu Mamá También.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he in Rogue One?
No,
No. That was Diego Luna.
Yes, this is from Gabriel Luna was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And he was in Terminator, the Dark Fate.
He would be amazing.
Rhino looks like Ezra.
He's got the look for sure.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
I'd be glad for that.
Oh, thank God. The game was not good. It was not good. It was not a good game, guys. And I was like, I love Star Wars. I love action adventure. It had puzzles. And yet every time I tried to jump across a ravine, it would fall to the side or it would jump too late or I would, just like that half-second delay. And you try and block the blasters and it's like, shoo, boof. And I was like, why am I getting hit by a stormtrooper? This is
They should be missing.
Everyone's saying Ghost Rider?
Yes, he was Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Gabriel Luna, not Diego Luna, who was in Y Tu Mamá También and Rogue One. Faux pas on my part.
By my fart. No.
My fart.
My fart.
Freudian slip.
Even more the New Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, I don't... New Jedi,
Every time
yes.
they add a new Jedi, it unwinds the canon of the OT. When Yoda says, "You're our last hope," Like, even though there is another, it's Leia. But it's like every time, it's like, when I die, it's just you. You're it. That's it. And it's like, Leo, you made this amazing meme. You posted it where it's like, not really. Here are the four that you've just introduced. That,
it's like the dad on the hip, hands on the hips meme, and it's like Grogu, Ezra, Ahsoka. Like, they're just all like, well, what about us?
Let's just throw little dude with the broom in the end of The Last Jedi. Like,
bring in Broom Boy.
Bring in Broom Boy. Broom Boy.
Listen,
Broom
you
Boy
know,
is actually a more convincing name than Grogu, by the way.
In 10 years, there's going to be the Broom Boy Disney Plus live action series, continuing that on. Somehow it'll like also star Mara Jade or something. It's going to like tie everything from here.
From sweeping stables to sweeping across the galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Prison cameos with Cad Bane and Bosk.
I think so. I feel like they were setting that up.
Bosk
Cad
is
Bane
still
will
going.
be tight.
Love me some Bosk. Double S, by the way.
Oh, Bosk.
Maud's like, bye.
I can't remember what's his race called. It's the really fun one to say. Bosk is I love Bosk. Oh my god, his full name is Bosk Wasik Kradosk, sorry. Oh, Trandoshan. Yeah.
Trandoshan.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Yeah, I like that one. Again, Bosk actually teamed up. Oh, actually, this is another thing that I had, but this is showing my brain as well. Before it was, when I saw that the sharpshooter, the sniper was there, I didn't think it was Fennec. I thought it was Aura Singh, but I think Aura Singh didn't quite make it through. Aura Singh was the original. She had like the shaved sides and the high ponytail. She was a part of Boba Fett's original crew. Like in the Clone Wars, you figure out like he's like 13 years old. Boba Fett's kind of escaped. He's doing his own thing. He's working alongside all these other bounty hunters, and they're teaching him the way of the bounty hunter. And it's Aura Singh who's the sniper, and she's awesome. She gets a tiny little cameo in Phantom Menace, by the way, during the pod race. She fires a snipe, and that's her. Bosk is in it. I think Cad Bane runs the whole shenanigan. Oh, Boba Fett was kind of the leader at 13. Who else was in the crew? I'll ask, and everyone will tell me.
Oh, they'll know.
They're like, it's still a Tusken Raider.
Oh, that's right. That's devastating.
Oh, that's right.
What a waste.
And this is
after the pod race. Yeah. Solo said she died, but we all thought Maul died and he didn't. Oh, that's right.
We all thought Boba Fett died and he didn't.
How many times have we thought Maul has died?
We all thought Fennec died and she didn't.
I keep saying this across every single platform. The reason why it's called nerd culture is because no one ever really dies.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Another reason I hate Solo.
What? Solo was fine.
I didn't hate Solo. It's a little unnecessary, but it was good.
What? I'm starting to. That was Woody Harrelson in that one.
Yeah. I forget the entire first half of that movie the more I think about
it. I was at the world premiere. I think you would have been there as well, Terry. And I remember looking around and everyone's kind of like into it. And it was 3/4 of the way through. And I'm like, I'm not loving this.
I think the only one I've hated is The Rise of Skywalker.
Same
and I
here.
Really came around to like, oh, I hate this. I hate some of these choices that you've made. Solo was fine, but like, it didn't stay with me. And they like set up all this stuff, like bringing Maul back, like all this stuff that I feel like is going to be way more impactful when they get around to unraveling. I know Solo, different part of the timeline and all that, but like if they had done something like that in The Mandalorian, it would be so much more impactful than doing it in the movie, which is ironic because it used to be the other way around. But I think that they are going to end up making like a lot more headway and forward progress in reestablishing like new old Star Wars through series like The Mandalorian versus like continuing to try to do the many, many movies that they have been announcing.
It's the same blueprint, quite literally, of the Death Star. It's the same fucking one.
Well, the Kessel Run was not as exciting as they had built it up to be, that's for sure.
Mild man nerd. Has anyone heard the rumor that they're planning to have an older Hayden Christensen's Force Ghost show up next season?
I have not, but I also have not been chasing any of the rumors because they usually come true.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from that too. So many leaks for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Always thought that Tamara Morrison
Wilson.
cameo in The Rise of Skywalker as clone trooper Kix would have been amazing. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Anything would have helped that movie out. Sorry.
So we had great action in here. We had a boulder do its thing and roll over, like a cool indie moment. The whole thing was fantastic. But then the tragedy strikes, and that is the Death Troopers. I'm going back to the episode here just to get us back on track because we've only got 5 more minutes.
We're doing great.
And these Death Troopers are obviously droids that were sent out, shot out of the ship. I was like, oh, this is not good. Oh, no. Little child, Grogu, exhausted, sending out his signal. Oh, my gosh. When he's weak and vulnerable, my God, my ovaries just like, no!
It's when he, like, tips over and you're like, you're just a puppet and you're so cute. And he just like just full on like tips and like his legs don't really move in like a normal way because he's just a cute baby.
But then he gets taken up into the Imperial carrier, Imperial cruiser, not a Star Destroyer, an Imperial cruiser, which, you know, everyone goes, holy shit, the Empire's back. And this is like the big moment.
Can I just ask though, like, did Moff Gideon not see Slave One just like fly right up under it?
Well, as Nathan mentioned, like they're all parked together.
I know, like that was like the one parking lot on that like planet, but also that like he was not incognito. Like he just like followed the Dark Troopers, went right up under that ship and came back down, and no one did it, fired at him. I was a little confused, but
the good news is that both the other smaller Empire vessels got taken out with one rocket.
Right. Yes.
So then we go up, and this was a heartbreaking moment. We see the prison quarters a lot in ships, especially in like Imperial cruisers, and our little dude's in it, and he is absolutely messing around with 2 stormtroopers, like playing with dolls. Which
Man, he was cracking some skulls.
But
he
then
was force choking.
Yeah.
No, he was absolutely messing with them. And then, of course, Gideon comes up and shows off the Darksaber in all of its glory. But he threatens my little dude, and I don't like that. He got too close to Grogu, who's, again, really tired. What a jerk. What a prick. So this is where we're at. We know that Gideon's got the Darksaber. We now know that they've got Grogu.
And they're down to start experiments again.
Signaled an encrypted signal to the doctor to say, yep, our donor is back. I don't like that.
So is this how Snoke is made?
It seems like it, right?
Like they're pulling force from him, and Snoke is like a manufactured being. I don't know.
Oh, man. Kind of true. Put it close to his face. He's like, hey.
I thought it was a Kit Kat bar, please.
I like, as much as the sequel, not trilogy, because Maude does not want to call it a trilogy, annoyed me with the Snoke of it all. He was such an interesting idea that they just whiffed it when it came to developing. And I would be open to the Mandalorian making that whole cloning the Emperor quest actually interesting and compelling. And it feels like that's what they're doing. Like, it is taking a very convoluted path to potentially having that be what the Mandalorian is partially all about, which is the Empire trying to literally resurrect their dead leader using one of the last remaining Jedi.
And that actually really explains why they would want to bring back Boba Fett,
right?
Who's like, you know, the OG in terms of clones. So you're reestablishing that clone lore and the timeline. And then it's trying to make sense of the last sort of 25 clusterfuck minutes of the movie. So, yeah. I could have been gentle with that. I chose not to be.
I should know the answer to this, but there are two.
Maybe Snoke is the host of the transplant.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do because it seemed like we saw a bunch of like Snokes and tubes a couple episodes ago.
Yeah. Legends, you couldn't clone a Force sensitive without issues, and some Grogu blood helps with the issues.
That's what it's sounding more and more like. Why he's the necessary part of it all.
Right. There are 2 more episodes this season, right? If I'm not crazy.
I think so.
Yep.
So.
2 left.
So if they're going to the prison next, but it's still that Mando, Boba, Fennec team up, and then presumably showdown numero dos with Moff Gideon in the finale.
We're gonna see Grogu really showcase and unlock some of this extreme power that he's been incubating.
Take one heck of a nap after.
Oh,
sleepy guy.
When he just tips over after using it, like, oh.
God, we got to protect at all costs. Oh, if they have Ewan McGregor as a ghost Obi, I would freak out.
I mean, it's shooting in Boston supposedly, so gotta connect it that way.
Get a
That'd
whole
be
lot
awesome.
of Obi. And as another reminder, if Disney is doing a flashback in the Obi series and needs to tell the love story between Bo-Katan's sister, Duchess Satine, I'm available.
Mod for Satine.
Mod for Duchess Satine. Use that hashtag. You'd put it out there. Come on, Dave Filoni. Surely one person that could make that happen. Surely. All right. Well, in that case, we've kind of discussed the episode. We've predicted what the next 2 will look like. It's probably not going to slow down by any means. Do we know what the next title is called?
I don't know, but I will say, seeing the tragedy as a title card, I was freaking out.
I didn't like that. But it is, though. It was. It is. Was. Is. This is good, though. This season's getting a whole lot better. I feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, Terri,
it's got good momentum.
If people want to follow along your adventures and learn more about your nerdy mind, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Terri_Schwartz, Terri with an I, or over at IGN.com.
Look at this. Oh, have I got it in time?
Did you do it?
Yeah.
There we go. Sweet.
Yeah. And what's happening with IGN?
Well, we are doing a bunch of coverage of The Mandalorian every week. We have the great Laura Prudhomme, who's been reviewing it. And then we also do these deep theory dives, a new series called Cannon Fodder, where we get all our biggest speculators and theorists and have them dig super deep into each episode. So lots of fun stuff.
That's
and Leo,
awesome.
where can people find you?
You can find me at Leo Rydell on Twitter and then youtube.com/geekly goods. I stay up till 1 a.m. every week to watch the new Mandalorian and then release an episode right after. So if you want your taste of the Mandalorian in the morning covered, come on over.
That is fantastic.
Sorry, I was just reacting to the comment. Rick Fami.
Sweet.
Famuyiwa.
AKA Mr. Kate Hudson. Super excited about that one. That could be really cool. And I will sign out by saying, many Bothans died to bring us this information. Thank you so much for watching The Maudalorian. We'll be back. If you haven't subbed to Geek Bomb, do it now. Terri, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's just nice to be near you during this.
Which way am I hugging it?
Get out of Mike then. All righty, take care. Goodbye, everyone.